Going back to the SWMA thing for a second, aside from what impact it will have on the county if the county pulls out of SWMA, what impact will it have on the other municipalities that are participants in the program who rely on the program?
Well, first of all, this county is under not only the Clean Water Act but the consent decree, and that monitoring, I believe, is very important to us. And if, let's say, we could afford to do it, the smaller cities and towns would not have that umbrella of coverage. And you can imagine the bureaucracy that would have to be created here to accommodate that. So that's a very good question. And I think that's why the majority of the mayors have stayed together on this, the smaller towns, that they really would like to keep it the way it is. And folks, we have this ongoing obligation to keep our rivers and streams as free of, as we can, of pollutants. And, you know, that's an everyday job. The resistance has come from the corporate community. And I have to say that the accusations that have been passed around about the Cahaba River Society, I've seen no sign at all of SWMA, and I'm the co-chairman of that group now, of doing anything except what they're required to do by their very mission statement, if you will, and what they were created to do. And I think there's a world where corporate interests and public interest, as in the public governments, certainly need to cooperate. And if you remember, we did that study of the, we formed a consortium and studied the Upper Cahaba Basin and came up with tools that different governments should use. And we started it here, if you remember, with a proposed ordinance which kicked all this off. But I think it's very important that we follow the federal mandates and that we stay together, because I think the cost that's distributed to us will be a lot less. My position has to do with my concern about the funds that will be required to take on this operation, and also the employees. What will we do with them? I mean, we're already at the point where we face possible layoffs. We certainly eliminated 140 some odd jobs at the time we adopted our budget. So I just think it's going to be very complicated taking them back in. And the other thing is simply this: I would absolutely have to be convinced that with a $5 annual assessment, we can fund this operation. And so we're looking at having, in my judgment, we'll be back to having to increase the amount of money collected. I may be the only one, I was the only one who voted against it, if you remember, because I felt that very strongly. So, you know, we have differences of opinion, and the majority will rule, and then we'll have to accommodate that operation.
If you lose the vote next week, do you think it'll be up to the Storm Management Authority to increase rates in order to be financially viable?
Well, I think they would have to look at that, and we would have to look at that, because the Barton Lab operation sent word early on that they would definitely have to, they would not be able to handle this without some changes. And so I don't know, I will say this, I think in the case of Birmingham, and I don't know about Hoover, but if you remember, an engineering company was lobbying to get that work. And, you know, I think privatizing the landfill will eventually be shown up to be a bad decision on our part. And I think that if we go the route of privatization of this activity by means of taking in a company to do it, that the final thing is, everybody talks about regional cooperation. If you think about it, this is the one area where we are operating with all the other governments in the county, cooperatively speaking. And it was brought about by those governments. So to dissolve it, I think, is a step in the wrong direction.